discount what it can do. And one note for it, do not squeeze the bag when you take it out. It's not like tea where you can squeeze the bag and get all that goodness. It's going to give you like a bitter taste if you do. So just pull it out, dunk it once or twice, and you're good. Okay. So with that part done, we basically start the first step of our brew. And that is hot. And what we're doing is adding something called malt extract. Malt extract is a cooked down version of the grain. Okay? We have a company called Brew who basically does that job for us. It's a long process. And all it is fermentable sugar. Grains I steep give you non-fermentable sugar. This is alcohol, those are flavor. So the combination of the two gives you a delicious beer. Notice I take it off the heat when I put it in. This is basically sugar. If you leave it on the heat while you're stirring it, you're going to have burnt caramel. It's going to kind of squirt your bottom of your can. So make sure you take it off. I soak it in hot water before I put it in because, again, it's liquid sugar. It'll pour a little thinner. It's basically like molasses. Or you want to get in it? Yeah. Just stir it while you're in. So I got some bars of that. So. Feel free to use the hot water just to loosen up. The more you get in there, the better your alcohol is going to be. I like my beers to be a little stronger than they should be anyway. There's two types of extracts you can use. Comes in dry and liquid. Liquid's cheaper, but it gives you slightly less alcohol and a slightly darker color. I'm making the brown ale, so I really don't care if it comes out darker. And it's cheaper, so 90% of the time I use the liquid. But if you're really crazy about having your wheat beer or your Pilsner come out super light, go ahead and buy the dry stuff. When I steep the grains, I keep it at no more than 150 degrees. If you go over like 160 or so, you start releasing some tannins that really you don't want in a beer. It won't hurt it, and a lot of the times when I do the steep, I get up to 180. But it's best to try to keep it on a low range. You know, just for having a good habit. Yummy. Okay, with that out of the way, someone say something? With that out of the way, we're going to bring it back up to a boil. Since there's extract in it now, this is one of the parts of brewing where you really got to pay attention, because once you start getting above 210, 215 degrees, you're going to break down all the proteins in that extract, and when that happens, you have a big chance of boil over. Some people tend to cook beer in their house. They're the ones who are really going to have to watch it. Because sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but when it does, you know, a half full pot is going to go right over real quick unless you're fanning it down and stirring it. So if you're watching it, it won't happen. So all I can say is don't watch football while you're brewing. The season's out anyways. It's not really an issue. While we wait for that to happen, I want you guys to look at this bucket and particularly this fermenter I have. That orange color is very important. It's probably the most important step in brewing. It's filled with iodine. Every piece of equipment we're using, everything that touches my beer. Prior to you guys coming here, I cleaned it out with chlorine. I rinsed it a couple times, then I filled it with this iodine solution and sanitized it. Nothing you do can mess up beer other than not cleaning your equipment. You can put the wrong ingredients in, you can cook it too long, you can cook it too high of a temperature, but if you don't sanitize, you could be looking at, you know, bandy. That's really the one thing we're trying to avoid. So the number one thing I can recommend in this whole class is cleanliness. Everything has to stay sanitary. Everything has to stay clear. Everything has to be just sanitized all the time. Iodine is no rinse. So say if I cool this down, I'm about to put yeast in it. I'll put my hand in it, scissors in it. I put my spoons, every single piece of equipment. All you do is dump, it's ready to use. So it's real simple. Practice good habits and you won't ever have a problem. That said, there's different choices for sanitizing. We typically only use ATF, ionophore. It's a non-foaming iodine agent. You could use something called Star San as reusable, but you're going to have to do a lot more work to maintain it. You got to keep it in the bucket and it'll eventually eat through your bucket. So if you're looking for something, I do suggest using the Star San. I mean the BTM. If you guys want to take a whiff of this, it'll give you a good idea what the grains are doing to it. And grains are one of the main 4 ingredients you're going to find in a beer. And I'm going to just go over all the 4 main ingredients because they're all equally important depending on the style of beer you're making. If you look on that picnic table and you want to pass those around and try a bite and sniff them, I've got 3 different types of grain that are actually in this beer right now. And as a brown ale, now 90% of the flavor is going to come from the grain. So just pass that around, take a bite. It's cereal. It's going to taste pretty interesting. And you can get a good idea of what it does to your beer. Guys, if you want to grab a seat up this way, it's going to be easy to get touching. And I'm just going to reiterate on what you missed. I had a bag of grains steeping in about 150 degrees for 30 minutes. It's basically like making a tea. And we just took the pot off the heat to add some extract. And basically it's molasses and fruits and alcohol once you add yeast. So once it was off the heat, we're bringing it back to the boil and right with us. I did mention to everyone, this bucket's filled with sanitizer. Everything you do, the most important thing you can do is sanitize it. So just keep that in mind. You're going to notice everything I touch goes in this bucket because it's right back into the bottle. Anyways, while we're passing the grains around, I'll just explain a little bit about what specialty grains do and what different types of carry. Right now we're passing 3 different types around. The dark one's called chocolate malt. You see a lot of stouts, porter, brown ales, darker beers. It's slightly roasted, but it's mostly got a chocolatey taste. It adds a lot of color to beers, it adds a lot of flavor. The other 2 are honey and special beet. The honey one obviously tastes a lot like honey. I'm making honey brown ale and I'm trying to get that taste out of it. The other has kind of a caramel raisin flavor. There's a lot you can do with the malt. This beer in particular, I put 6 of my favorite malts in. And the combination really can add a lot. Anywhere from bread taste, sweetness, caramel, maybe a roasted flavor, or even a burnt taste, depending on what you're looking for. I also put oatmeal in that grain bag. And oatmeal gives you a little more body and a little head retention. So anytime you're making the beer, keep in mind that I have almost 30 different types of grain. And I'm a dork. I know what every single one of them does, and I'll be happy to tell you, how we can change the beer the way you like it. The other glass that's going around, I wouldn't suggest eating it. It's extremely bitter, Jared. You grab me that lid and start helping me pan down. If you guys want to take a look, this is what I was talking about with the hot break. Just pan it. And this is right when the protein starts to break down. And you can tell if you're not panning and stirring and watching it. Watch, stop real quick. It's going to bubble over very quickly because we're already at twice the volume I started with. So keep an eye out for that. That's why I'm waiting to put the hops in, because if you put the hops in before this happens, your hops are going to go over the side of your pot. And that's just not good because hops are probably my favorite part of it.